Did you know that San Diego County is one of the nation's top cut flower producers? It's not surprising our climate is perfect for growing flowers and foliage. Those crops cover nearly 4,000 acres and they produce almost $78 million worth of product every year. It's not all a rosy picture. In the 1970s, America produced almost all the cut flowers sold in this country. But over time, more and more of that business has moved overseas. The cheaper cost of growing elsewhere, the cost of water, and the increasing value of land here in San Diego County has put a lot of pressure on local flower growers. But a hardy few still survive. They even thrive. Today, we're going to see an industry reinventing itself. We're going to see how new varieties come to market, how they're grown, cut, sold, and arranged. It all happens here in San Diego's beautiful and historic cut flower industry. Today, on A Growing Passion. Do you remember the saying, "There's gold in them hills"? Here in San Diego, the gold is not in the form of precious metal. Instead, it's in cut flowers. We're not talking about California native plants here. We're talking about flowering shrubs that come from parts of South Africa, Australia, and New Zealand, where the climate is a lot like ours. Hot and dry in summer, rain in winter. Those plants don't just arrive here and get planted. Instead, they're carefully selected and tested in their home countries. They're sent here and they're tested even more. This is Obra Verde Growers in Valley Center. Over the past 15 years, Joe and Julie Walker have built a business importing and testing those new varieties. So Joe, I think what's really interesting about what you do here that's different from everyone else is that you're testing all the new varieties we're going to see in the market in a couple of years, right?
Correct.
So how does that happen? I mean, how do you do that? What's the process?
Well, it's worked through the different agencies that we're working with in Australia and New Zealand and South Africa, and they have plants that they're developing over there through different breeding programs that they have, and they want to trial them in other countries, and they've chosen the United States because we are so innovative and front forward when it comes to new varieties.
So they're going to send you the new varieties?
Yes.
And then you're going to test them on your property?
Correct.
And how do you know what to do in order to test them? I mean, what are the variables?
Well, we look for bloom, we look for the shape of the plant, we look for the color, we look for its hardiness, how it does in a pot, how it does in the field, how it would do in somebody's garden, how it would even maybe a house plant. And we take all those and we trial them, and we can give them pluses and minuses on how good they are. And then we report back to the agencies, and they decide which ones we are going to release.
So how long is that process?
Well, it can be, if they want to fast track it, it can go in 6 to 8 months, but usually it's about a 2-year project.
And then you decide, and then either it goes forward or you say, no thanks.
Yeah, I have to sign contracts that if it's not deliverable here and we're not going to do it, I have to destroy all stock.
That's amazing.
It's hard.
The Walkers grow wax flowers and proteas, pincushions, cone bushes, and other flowering shrubs. They select the best of the bunch to propagate. It's an amazing process that starts with a mother plant. Workers cut branches at just the right time of year. Each branch is cut into smaller pieces which are dipped in rooting hormone. From there, they go into flats filled with a special lightweight growing medium. After 10 weeks in the greenhouse, the cuttings start forming roots.
And you can see they have a very nice root system on them. We like to get a root system that is about 2 to 3 inches long by the time we plant them, so these aren't quite ready, as you can see.
Wow,
they still have a little bit more to go.
It takes several more months before they're ready to be potted up and sold to growers. This is cloning at its most basic. One mother plant becomes thousands of plants over its lifetime. The Walkers trial dozens of new varieties, each for years at a time. Of those, just a few make the final cut. Their work helps determine the flowers that you and I find in the nursery and in our bouquets. Australian grevillea are some of Walker's best success stories. They have this beautiful finely cut foliage and these little curly flowers that hummingbirds can't resist. Add a couple of sprigs of waxflower and some nice foliage, you've got a beautiful bouquet. Obra Verde is one of the largest nurseries growing Australian and South African natives in the United States. If you landscape with these varieties, it's likely you have one of their plants. If you bought a bouquet, it's the wax flowers they trialed that fill out your arrangement.
This is a wax flower called Matilda, and it was, I think, probably one of the finest wax flowers that was ever bred. The characteristics of it is it starts out a pure white in December, and then it gets a beautiful little picotee, this little pink picotee, and after about maybe a month and a half, and then that slowly evolves into a beautiful maroon color that,
Like these?
yeah, like these here, that will engulf the whole plant to where it's all that one color, and it starts in December white and ends up totally maroon by Mother's Day.
So you mean each flower changes color
Each
individually?
Each flower changes color individually.
That's
And
got to be the coolest thing I've ever heard.
it is by far the best wax that was ever bred.
Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, they send their best to Obra Verde. What works here today will be the flowers we grow and enjoy tomorrow. We've traveled east to see a bit of Australia and South Africa, growing in the form of gorgeous shrubs with dramatic flowers. They're plants in the Protea family. We're in Rainbow, or you might say over the rainbow, visiting one of the largest Protea farms in the U.S. Rainbow Protea has close to 100 of its 300 acres planted in flowering shrubs. You might be surprised to learn that some cut flowers come from shrubs. But one look at these exotic blooms and you'll know why the idea took hold. Protea were named for the Greek god Proteus, who could change his form at will. The extraordinary richness and the diversity of these flowers makes it easy to see how the name came to be. Plants in the Protea family are thought to be more than 55 million years old. Today, there are more than 1,000 known species of Protea family plants.
So we're always looking out for rattlesnakes.
I don't want to know that. General Manager Dawn Bonner oversees the planting, cutting, and sales at her family ranch.
These are succession pin cushions. And then we had some yellow high gold in the background here. This is a section of 800 pin cushions growing in this area. South Africa, New Zealand, Australia. This is where the sun rises in the east, where they get the most sun starting in the morning that they are opening on one side.
Here at Rainbow Protea, they grow 30 varieties, from the spiked and spectacular King Protea to the precious pink Queen Protea. They also grow Protea relatives like the cylindrical Banksias, the flamboyant pin cushions, and the leafy coneflowers.
So here we are in the succession field. These plants are about 10 years old. They are one of the greatest long stem flowers that we have, but we've come through about 2 months ago to debud the flowers, and as you can see that there's multiple buds on stems, which is not desirable for the wholesale market. So we come through and we have to select which would be the straighter stem and pop the other one off.
These flowering shrubs are a lesson in sustainability. Because these plants are from regions of the world where soils and rainfall are much like ours, they grow extremely well here. In winter, they're watered by the rains. In summer, they require just a little irrigation, and each plant can produce for 25 to 30 years. Rainbow Protea sells more than $1.25 million of flowers every year, and there's something blooming in every month. Protea have exceptionally long vase life, which adds to their popularity, and they make spectacular dried flowers. When it comes to cut flowers, blooms are just part of the story. You have to look at the whole picture. We'll show you what we mean next. Foliage is one of the main crops grown here at Protea Hills Ranch in Escondido. Owner Randy Molo and his crew of 3 tend 28 acres year-round, picking and shipping flowers, along with foliage like eucalyptus, boxwood, myrtle, and acacia.
Well, primarily Protea. That's what we started with, and that's what really attracted me to this ranch when I purchased it in 1977. But over the years, in order to fill the gaps up in production, we started planting foliages, some of them exotic, Australian varieties and things like that, but primarily rather mundane things that you find all over the place, like myrtle, boxwood, some of the melaleucas and things like that.
When your crew's looking to cut the foliage, what are they looking for?
First of all, the quality. If the foliage is too soft on the tips, it'll invariably wilt after it's cut. And some of our products are being shipped across the country or in other parts of California. And overnight in trucks sometimes. Sometimes they'll be in the truck for 3 or 4 days going to New York. So the foliage has to be strong that way.
While a farmer can cut 1 crop of flowers every year, they sometimes get 2 crops from foliage plants. So while these plants do flower, that's not what the farmers value. Their money is in the greens. Where is your product sold?
Well, actually I sell mostly in local markets, but most of the stuff ends up probably east of the Mississippi. Because we're a smaller ranch, then we usually will send our stuff through shippers and wholesalers.
So the foliage that you're growing here, is it grown anywhere outside of just this part of San Diego County?
Primarily, no. I think it's a plant that needs to have specific climatic conditions, normally warm, frost-free areas. It likes a soil that's well drained, so typically will grow inland in North County or in San Diego County because that's where decomposed granite is.
This is a ranch that's kind of an in-between size. And so what kind of challenges go along with that?
Well, primarily the amount of sales, of volume. We have a finite amount of land to grow a certain amount of product. This is one of the reasons why we don't ship as much as we used to.
What are the joys of doing this for you?
When I wake up in the morning and I look out at the nearby freeway and I see people commuting to work, and I think, well, I'm not going to be the richest guy in the world here, but I do love the lifestyle. And it's kind of nice just to be able to walk outside your door and work with plants. I'm a plant lover anyway. You have to be in this business. So.
Oh, that smells so good. You know, when you buy foliage, just like when you buy produce or when you buy flowers, it's best to buy what's grown locally. Flat, fine, furry or feathery, it's all in the foliage. Dram and Ector is a second-generation cut flower grower. Their fields and greenhouses cover 27 acres in Encinitas and are filled with lilies, roses, gerberas, and other flowers used for bouquets and arrangements. These varieties thrive in the area's mild winters and cool coastal summers.
Encinitas was once covered in flower fields and greenhouses just like this. In fact, when the city incorporated in 1986, they adopted a tagline, "Flower Capital of the World." Today, most of that land is covered with houses, and just a few flower growers remain.
This greenhouse produces more than 16 million flower stems every year. Dram and Ector is one of the 100 largest greenhouse producers of ornamental horticulture products in the U.S. Bob Ector is company president. He attributes his success to the quality of his flowers and to his company's ability to be flexible and adapt to the changing demands of the marketplace.
We grow a lot of Gerber daisies and a lot of lilies. We are affected less by imports on those items. The Gerber daisy is a good local item to sell and produce locally, and found some niche marketing through that. Encinitas is really a great place to grow flowers. The temperatures outside most of the year are quite ideal for what you're trying to achieve inside, and it gives you better quality, high light, and it's really an ideal place to grow.
Dram and Ector grows their plants hydroponically in cocoa coir, a fiber made from coconut husk. The greenhouse air is kept just on the humid side, with temperatures in the 70s during the day and 60s at night. They pump in carbon dioxide to stimulate plant growth, and a mixture of water and nutrients circulates over plant roots. This is a zero runoff operation.
We do a lot of recycling here. We try and really minimize our inputs. We recycle our water, our fertilizers, plastic, cardboard, use integrated pest management for less pesticide use, beneficial insects, again, to minimize the impact of pesticides, which is part of a sustainable plan.
So what's the name of this one?
This rose is called Circus. It's a real nice bicolor.
That's beautiful.
And quite popular.
Yeah, I like that.
These roses bloom in just 50 days. Their blooms are cut just before they open. They're wrapped quickly and packed, most to sell locally.
As beautiful as these flowers are, it's easy to forget this is a business. And sometimes it's more cost-effective to grow the flowers outside the U.S. and import them. In fact, about 20% of Dram and Ector's business is done just that way. Why is it that you import some of the flowers that you sell?
It's more, we've got a going clientele. They have needs for different products than what we produce, and so it's become pretty much a natural hub to bring in some foreign products. We also work with growers in Northern California and also Baja. We work with them on what they should produce, and we sell them here at this operation.
What do you think the future is for cut flower growers in Encinitas?
Again, if you didn't keep up and make changes with products, when people were carnation growers, they maybe didn't look for alternatives as that market diminished. And then land values have come into this. Have it go to the next generation or to sell your business with the price of land, as that has escalated since the 50s. If you stay with the times, I guess, and progress along with it using technology, it still has a good future. Again, the climate is ideal as long as we can have the water to grow and the labor force, it should be quite viable.
Aren't these flowers gorgeous? By tomorrow, they'll be on their way to Denver or Spokane or even San Francisco. What doesn't get shipped out of the area is bought by local wholesalers, or it goes to the Floral Trade Center in Carlsbad. There, florists and designers shop for beautiful blooms just like these.
My name is Robin Phillips, and I am a flower person. We are picking out flowers for our customers. At this time of the morning, this is essential. I got into flowers because it's in my blood. I've been doing this for a very long time, and my family has been doing this for 3 generations. We buy from almost every vendor in the trade center, but every vendor has their specialty. You know, this is a Caribbean, and I learned a lot about it because we do a lot of tropicals for the racetrack. This is my space. They know whenever I put something here, that is mine. Nobody else gets to touch it. You're gonna get me the best, right? All right. He always gets me the best flowers. Always. He's the rose guy. The kinds of roses I get, there's a lot of different varieties, all right? But I prefer Ecuadorian roses. I like the way they last. I like their quality. I like their size and their varieties. Varieties are very important. I buy from a lot of different vendors in the trade center, and I pick out only the best, and that's the way it is. I don't know.
We've seen how new varieties of cut flowers are brought onto the market. We've seen how they're grown, cut, picked, packed, and sold. The question is, what to do with them now? Here in San Diego, there's just one person to ask. We are in the studio of Renee Van Rems International, and look at this place. It's absolutely gorgeous.
I brought you some flowers.
Oh, thank you. Where are all these flowers from?
Well, believe it or not, almost everything is from San Diego County. Some of these are field grown, some of them are greenhouse grown, but it's a huge variety from all the different temperate zones that we have in San Diego, as you know.
Oh, definitely. We've been visiting some of those greenhouses and some of those growers, and so I'm thrilled to see their flowers here. And I'm thrilled to see what you're going to do now. Will you teach us how to do flower arranging?
Sure, in 3 minutes or less.
Just be gentle with me, okay?
I'll be gentle. I'm European. I'll be gentle.
Thank you.
Well, you know, most of the time when people design, they do flower by flower. And so if you're in a rush or the guests are coming and you are in a rush, then, and you haven't done your flowers yet, if you do them yourself, there is a way to make it easier. And that is to just take little clusters of different flowers and put them in a container, cluster by cluster, rather than and one flower and another flower and another flower. So what you're going to do is make sure there's no leaves below in the water. So you're pretty much stripped clean there, so that's good. Now this is such a woody stem that you can take pruners and just cut them all at the same time. You just go like this. And that's gonna go, just let it sit like that. Beautiful. Then we have some alstroemeria. This is actually grown locally here in San Diego County.
So these are also called Peruvian lilies, and these are some of my
lilies.
favorite garden flowers.
And they last forever. I mean, these are the buds, right? We just got these. And what you're going to do is you're going to, what we call strip. So all the foliage has to come off. And this foliage you wouldn't have seen anyway.
Okay, wait, but aren't I leaving this foliage up here
that
around the
stays.
flowers? Okay.
It's particularly the foliage that would be in the water because you want your flowers to last. And if the water is full of leaves, the bacteria are going to be having a party.
And that's when my flowers die, right? When you get the bacteria in the water.
Yes, there's only two ways why flowers die. One is if they don't have any water, and believe it or not, most people do not add water to their flowers. The other one is that they don't take care of the flowers when they put them in the water, and all those leaves are going to decay, and the bacteria will kill the flowers. That's the very short way of putting it. So now that you have those in your hand, you're going to take your floral knife, just cut them all. There
Like
you go.
that? Is that a sharp enough angle?
That's fantastic. Anything is better than nothing or scissors. Yeah. So there's a cluster.
So the hypericum's on one side, and I'm putting these on
All,
this side.
yep, there you go. And as long as they're all in water, the long one, there you go. Good. So there's that one. Then we're going to put a few of these spray roses. These are commercially grown roses, of course, but instead of having the typical one bloom on the stem, there are many on one stem. So that really gives you a, and the same thing there, you just strip it. You're going to cut them that way. See how therapeutic this is?
Yeah, I'm cutting. Anytime I prune or cut, that's very therapeutic.
This, you go in another corner. So now it looks like that.
So I'm putting the stems in. I can tell the hypericum's kind of holding everything in place.
It's like a grid. Yep, exactly. Now we have these killer gerbera. These are, actually we call these germini. This is a really fantastic little flower. There's one little trick I need to tell you about, and that is gerberas don't need to be in a lot of water. They like to be in a little bit of water because the stems, you can feel, they're so peachy.
Oh yeah, they're fuzzy.
They're fuzzy. Yeah. The water goes up on the stem, and that's where the bacteria start. So if they're in less water, they last longer. But I made a little cluster there, and same thing, go like that, and that goes over here. Look at you.
Oh, it's beautiful.
So now we've got these four, right? And then for the piece de resistance, we're going to put some roses in here. These roses are also kind of going to connect all the colors together. Now these I'm going to do one at a time. So I'm just cut, and roses need to be cut on a big slant.
Well, you know what I like about this? I can imagine putting this on a table and having it in the center of the table, and my guests can still talk to each other over the top.
See each other, yes.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.